Jnanavalabha Girivaranari Jaya Gopi Jnanavalabha Girivaranari Yashodanananamrajananaranjana Yashodananana Brajananaranjana Yamunatiramanachari 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 Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada ki, Shri Radha Madhava ki. Jam Vishnu Padma Saparivraja Kacharya Stota Shata Srimad is Divine Grace Shila Abhay Charana Ravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Shila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assemblies. All glories to the assemblies. All glories to the assemblies. All glories to Shri Guru and Gaura. All glories to Shila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 20, entitled Conversations between Maitreya and Vidura, text number 6. Dana Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Dana Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Rasagya Kunotripyeta, Rasagya Kunotripyeta, Harilamritam Piban, Harilamritam Piban, Dana Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Rasagya Kunotripyeta, Harilamritam Piban. This chant. Dana Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Rasagya Kunotripyeta, Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Harilamritam Piban. Ladies. Dana Kirtaya Bhadram Te, Kirtan Yodara Karmanaha, Rasagya Kunotripyeta, Harilamritam Piban. Kirtaya Bandramte Kirtanyodara Karmanaha Rasakya Kono Tripyeta Harililamritam Pibam. Taham, those talks. Na, to us. Kirtaya, narrate. Badramte, may all good come unto you. Kirtanaya, should be chanted. Udara, liberal. Karmanaha, activities. Rasagya, a devotee who can appreciate mellow tastes. Ka, who, nu, indeed. Tripyeta, would feel satisfied. Harilamritam, the nectar of the pastimes of the Lord. Piban, drinking. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. O Sutta Goswami, all good fortune to you. Please narrate the activities of the Lord, which are all magnanimous and worth glorifying. What sort of devotee can be satisfied by hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord? Purport. The narration of the pastimes of the Lord, which are always enacted on the transcendental platform, should be received with all respect by devotees. Those who are actually on the transcendental platform are never satisfied by hearing the continuous narration of the pastimes of the Lord. For example, if any self-realized soul reads from Bhagavad Gita, he will never feel satiated. The narrations of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam may be read thousands and thousands of times, and still, without fail, new aspects of the subject matter will be relished by the devotee. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Rum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lilita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinamandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this verse presents the taste of the devotees. The taste of the devotees always lies in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. In previous verse, yesterday, we heard how the pastimes of the Lord, the Lord's form, the Lord's words, and even the Lord's perspiration, they are non-different from each other. And all of them, they are a source of unlimited nectar for the devotees. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Machita madgata pranam bodayantas parasparam katayantas chamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha. It is said that the devotees, they always discuss and enlighten each other about himself or the Lord. And they always discuss the pastimes of the Lord. And then Srila Prabhupada says that, by this kind of submission to the Lord, the devotee becomes very satiated and very calm and peaceful. But still, the devotee is never satisfied by the amount of the discussion of these pastimes. He always wants to know more. He always wants to get more. He always wants to hear more, because there is always some new nectar there. It is never that it becomes stale. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, we can find the verse by Srila Prahlad Maharaj, and he says, Matirna Krishne Bharatak Svatova Matobi Padyeta Griha Vartanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Tamisram Punah Punascharvita Chalvananam. And it means that those who are too much engrossed in the desires to enjoy material life, they are just always chewing the chewed. And they, from their heart, never awakens the desire to serve Krishna. They never, this kind of desire never arises. It is either through instructions by others or by their own incapacity to sort of break through towards the pastimes of Sri Krishna. So they always discuss mundane things. We can see that it always gets recycled in the newspapers. Everything, every 4 years, we have the election in the United States. Everybody's following that. Even I did. And but it's every time it's the same thing. Every single time. There's two people that are trying to convince the public that they're gonna change things, but nothing ever changes. I heard once a saying, I'm not sure if it is from Srila Prabhupada, but the saying goes that politicians change, but the politics stay the same. So, like this, we can see that, people try to engage in certain topics, but they are always just recycled topics. There is no new juice there. There is no new aspect to it. It's always just the same thing, just chewing the chew. And the people, ordinary people, they think they can, that this is sort of interesting for them, but at the end of the day, they feel empty inside. They don't feel satisfied. There's something lacking there. They want to find something more, and they try, and they go to the pub, they go to the party. We just did 1 week of schoolies, which was very intense. We did Harinam every day for 4 hours with these kids that just finished high school, and before they enter real life, now they want to experience some fun, some nectar before suffering for the next 50 years, before they work for the next 40 to 50 years. So they want to make sure they really get into it. So they go and they try to perform all kinds of sinful activities, all kinds of obscene things. And, you can see they're not satisfied. I heard from Harinamananda Prabhu, who has been doing this since, 2016? And he says that most of these kids, they don't have a good time at schoolies. Most of them get too drunk most of them have to go for cleaning of, some of them have to go for cleaning of the stomach, and some of them, fall off balconies and die even. Many of the girls get raped also, and so on. So we can see there is not much actual fun there, it's all just in their minds. They think, oh, I will enjoy so much. But then they come there, that enjoyment just vanishes, just like a mirage in a desert. You think you're gonna get to a reservoir of water, but once you come there, it's just more and more sand, and you go deeper and deeper and deeper into the desert. And yes, obviously the only way out is to take shelter of Krishna. But why do people think like this, that, oh, if I just try again and again for this same thing that I already tried so many times, that now I will get some pleasure out of it? It is because it comes from a place of envy of Krishna. We want to be the enjoyer. Ishvaraham aham bhogi. I am the proprietor, I am the enjoyer of this material world. And this is the reason why we are here. This is the reason why we are cycling through so many lifetimes in this material world. Abrahma vanallokam punaravartinojana amupechat kanteya punarjanmana vidyate. It is said that from the highest planet of Brahmaloka to the lowest, they are all places of misery. And why are they places of misery? Because we will have to take birth again. It is not that if we go to the highest planet of Brahmaloka, that we will just stay there forever and, enjoy life like in the spiritual world. No, we have to take birth again. Even though the life of Brahma seems for us like an eternity. Even if in the life of Brahma there are innumerable manus. I mean, every day 14 manus change for Brahma. And manus already live for a very long time. So, for us, the life of Brahma is practically an eternity. But from the perspective of actual eternity, or from the perspective of Mahavishnu, who lies down in the Karanodaka ocean, or the causal ocean, for him, this life of Brahma is just like breathing in and breathing out. Breathing out, first he breathes out, and all the universes, innumerable Brahmas, they come out of his pores like sweat. And when he breathes in, all of those universes are destroyed again and become stored in his body. And, for Mahavishnu, it is all just like a blink of an eye. It is insignificant time, even a life of Brahma. So, what to speak of our lifetimes? So, yes, and Krishna explains, so these are all places of misery, but we think that we will enjoy. We think we will enjoy by trying to play the role of Krishna. By trying to play the role of Krishna. Trying to play the pastimes of Radha and Krishna in this material world. And that's why we see everybody practically wants to enjoy amorous pastimes, wants to get married, wants to have, expand his empire and so on. And it is said that actually this material world is just a backdrop for sex life. Everything happens just so for that moment. But as Prahlad Maharaj explained, this is all chewing the truth. And why is it chewing the truth? Why why can't there be newer and newer nectar in that also? It is because there is no Krishna there. Because we have cut Krishna out of equation. It is, Krishna every single time he advanced himself. In every millennium he advanced himself. And he is here to reclaim his devotees and also to establish the religious principles and to annihilate the miscreants. But basically his purpose is to reclaim everyone to his eternal abode. But we are so stubborn that even though Krishna comes every single time, we just, feel like ignoring him. We don't feel like going home. We think, just a little more. This dream is so nice. I think I just figured it out. I just figured it out this time. I have the formula, Just give me a little bit more time. But every single plan fails, obviously, in this material world. And then we are again in the cycle of, maybe not even human life, animal life, plant life. We go down to the lower species of life, and then again, slowly we go up, and then we are in the heavenly planets, and we try to enjoy, and then we go down again, and like this, up and down, up and down. But what is the way out? How can we ever get rid of this, journey up and down, eternal journey? Since time immemorial, Srila Prabhupada says we have been doing this. And the answer lies in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And it is said, Brahmanda Brahmita Kona Bhagavan Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Beach. Only by the mercy of Guru and Krishna will we get this seed of the creeper of love of Godhead. And only then we can make some advancement. And it is said that Krishna gives us this mercy from inside, as Paramatma. Krishna always tries to encourage us towards his devotional service. And then Krishna comes from the outside also as Guru. Guru is the representative of the Paramatma, and it is the representative that we can see, that we can interact with. But the Guru is non-different from the Paramatma. And this is very nicely illustrated in the story in the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and that is the story of Puranjana, which is an allegorical story. But basically the premise is that Puranjana, he is the king in the city of 9 gates, which is our body. And then he becomes very much attached to his queen, which is material intelligence. And he, does many sinful activities. He goes to this forest to hunt, and that is the example for sinful activities. And he enjoys, material life. And he becomes very much attached to his wife and his kingdom and his children and everything material. And at the end of his life, death comes, and he is thinking of his wife, and he becomes a woman in his next life. But in his next life, he's very fortunate, because somehow or other he gets a husband, or she gets a husband, that is a pure devotee of Krishna. And so this husband basically becomes her spiritual master. And then at the end of their life, when their children are grown up, the husband goes to the forest, and she follows him to the forest, or the Puranjana in his previous life, he follows his husband in this life as a woman. He follows him to the forest, and she just serves him as he meditates, and then at one point her husband, he leaves his body. And then this Puranjana, in the form of a woman, whose name was Vaidarbhi in this life, she starts to lament very much. She starts to lament, oh, my husband is gone. But then she sees one Brahmana approaching, and this Brahmana is actually the super soul. It is explained that this Brahmana is like a very dear friend of Puranjana or Vaidarbhi, who has been with her since time immemorial, always. But she has forgotten all about him because, she tried to enjoy the senses, and she tried to be very much engrossed in the material life. But then Srila Prabhupada explains, and Narada Muni also explains in the following chapter, that actually then the super soul came because she was very much dedicated to her husband or her spiritual master. And when the spiritual master leaves, then the super soul again acts as the representative of the spiritual master. So we get guided from within. We get guided from within. And once we surrender to the spiritual master, then the super soul can also again come to the foreground, and also we can perceive, and the super soul, and that is through the instruction of our spiritual master. It is said that Vani is more important than the Vapu. Obviously, Vapu is very much important because through Vapu, Vani definitely comes. If there is the spiritual master present, he will definitely give us transcendental knowledge and instructions on how to execute this transcendental knowledge. So by the mercy of Guru and Krishna, we get this Bhakti Lata. And then obviously we have to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. And then gradually we will progress in this path of devotional service, and we will develop taste for hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord. And then we can ask ourselves, all right, if the goal is to hear and chant about the glories of the Lord, and if you say that the people in the material world can never get any sort of satisfaction from trying to enjoy their senses on their own, then why does it say in this purport that the self-realized souls, might read Bhagavad Gita and they will never feel satiated? How can those two things go together? Why would we want to strive for something again that will not satisfy us fully? But actually the answer is that no, it does satisfy us fully. But still, we crave more and more of that satisfaction. That satisfaction is never stationary. Even though it is, so there is so much taste there is so much nectar there. It is always ever fresh. Even though we might read Srimad Bhagavatam again and again and again, we will always feel like there is new nectar. We will always discover something new, something fresh. It is described in the Nectar of Devotion how the love of Srimati Radharani is like a mirror. She is always reflecting the qualities of Krishna, or in terms of the love of Krishna, is always reflected in her. And when there is a new quality in Krishna that she discovers, she's always discovering new qualities in Krishna, and she loves every quality of Krishna to the max. And there is no one who can love qualities of Krishna like Srimati Radharani. And when she discovers a new quality of Krishna, she loves that new quality also. She is like just fully in love with that quality also. So this ocean of bliss is ever increasing. Anandam Mudivardhanam. It is ever increasing. It is never, just, these are the shores, and that's it. You cannot go over it. Or this is the depth. No, you can always go deeper. And there is a story told by His Holiness Devamrita Swami. And he says that there was once one man, I don't know in which part of the world, but it was on the shore of the ocean. And he went snorkeling that particular day, and he was, diving in the ocean, and he was quite a professional, I guess, because all of a sudden he looked at his depth meter and he was like 20 meters deeper in terms of water, even though he didn't move. And then he came out and he saw great devastation on the shore, because while he was diving in the ocean there was a tsunami, and it destroyed the whole shore and the city there. So Devamrita Maharaj, he draws the conclusion that, if a devotee dives deep in his spiritual life, and hearing and chanting and, doing devotional service, then this tsunami of Kali Yuga, or devastation of, the material energy, will not have any effect on the devotee. It will just pass over, like nothing ever happened. Maybe we will think, oh, we just went a little bit more deeper in our spiritual life because of certain trials and tribulations, maybe, but it will not, in any way, shape or form hurt us if we actually go deep in our spiritual life. And in the same way, this ocean is ever increasing. We can go deeper and deeper and deeper, and we will never reach the bottom, nor we will ever reach the shore. And even a drop of that nectar of the pastimes of the Lord, or hearing about the Lord, even a drop will make us go mad for Krishna. Even a drop will just give us so much ecstasy that we never even thought was possible. Even a drop. And it is all possible by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came and he plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead and broke open the seal. And with his associates, he wants to distribute this love of Godhead and make everybody drown in this nectar. And if you think about it like that, then that becomes very nice. Then yes, we might struggle in our spiritual life, but it is the desire of the Supreme Lord to make us mad in Krishna consciousness. And then we can ask ourselves, but how? Okay, it's his desire, but I don't feel it. I don't feel it. It is actually only that we have to stop resisting. If we stop resisting, then we will get swept up. As soon as we stop resisting, it will just happen. But as long as we resist, then what can be done? If we want to swim, we will swim. But at one point we will get exhausted of swimming, and then, we will drown. And yes, there were a few people who swam on the surface of this flood of love of Godhead when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came. And those were the Mayavadis. They swam on the top of this flood. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to drown them also. And what did he do? For the sake of the Mayavadis, which are basically now 100%, or let's say 99% of the population on this earth, everybody is basically a Mayavadi nowadays, denying the existence of God, or at the best, trying to claim that they are God as well, or they are one with God. So for their benefit, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. He didn't need to take sannyas. But because they were blaspheming him, and with that, they were making an offense to the Lord. He said, all right, I will take sannyas because, like that, they will at least bow down to me. And then they will become eligible to drown in this ocean of nectar, or ocean of the love of Godhead. And in that way, he drowned them also. And it is said that actually, in a flood, all the seeds get rotten. Even if there are some seeds in the ground, they will get rotten because there is too much water. And that is what will happen to the seeds of our sinful activities. We hear that when there are sinful activities, there are different stages of sinful activities. One form of sinful activities is in a seed-like form. One is sprouting. One is we committing sinful activities, and then the reactions fructify. One reaction is fructified, and some reactions are not yet fructified. So we think, oh, maybe I have so many seeds of this sinful activity because I performed so many sinful activities, so many lifetimes. But it is not to be worried, because by this flood, all these seeds will also get rotten, and they will not be able to germinate. They will not be able to sprout in our heart anymore. And that is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And by his mercy only, we can perform this hearing and chanting always, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. And according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, this is actually the mantra that we get initiated into when we take initiation. This is our goal. This is what we want to achieve. Kirtaniya Sadahari, always chanting the Maha Mantra, and never stopping. Of course, we sing Shikshastaka every day. We recite it, and we know what is the conditions as to how to chant the holy names constantly. And it is Trinada Pisunichena Tarori Vasahishana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari. We have to be more humble than a blade of grass, tolerant like a tree, and prepared to offer all respects to others and not expect none in return. And obviously that is very difficult, because for so many lifetimes we wanted all respects for us and not expect to offer any respects in return. Because we wanted to be Krishna. But that, as we heard, will never satisfy us. The only thing that will satisfy us again and again and again, without fail, is to read and chant, and to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. And that is what the sages of Naimisharanya were so eager to hear from Srila Sutta Goswami. And that is what Srila Narada Muni instructed Vyasadeva to do after compiling all the Vedic scriptures. He also didn't feel satisfied. And why didn't he feel satisfied? Because he did not establish Krishna as the Supreme Lord. And in the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is already established as the Supreme Lord. Ete chamshakalapam sam Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam Indrari Vakulam Lokam Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. That all these portions and plenary portions of the Lord are coming to this world, but the original Lord is Shri Krishna. Krishna stu Bhagavan Swayam. And by that, by just writing a whole book just about Krishna and his pastimes and the pastimes of his devotees, which are non-different from the pastimes of the Lord, only in that way Srila Vyasadeva was also going to be satisfied. And, we are greatly fortunate that he did this great work. And now we can read again and again Srimad Bhagavatam. And we have an added nectar there as well. And that is the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And that, he himself said that actually his purports are more important than the verses, because he says that the purports are his devotional ecstasies. And it is true. I mean, sometimes we read the verse and we are kind of lost. What is happening here? But when we read the purport of Srila Prabhupada, it becomes crystal clear as to what is the message of the verses and of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita as a whole. And sometimes, when you read, especially Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can, there are many verses that Prabhupada did not comment on. And then, it's like 100 verses that there is no purport. And then there is a verse with the purport, and then you feel like Prabhupada just wants to make up for all the verses he didn't comment on. He writes like a 10-page purport. It's like, goes on forever. But I remember my mother, she read Bhagavatam, and then she came to the section when Srila Prabhupada could not comment on anymore because he left his body already. And she said, I just missed the purpose of Prabhupada. It's nice, Bhagavatam, this, that, and the purpose of his disciples, but Prabhupada had that special way of presenting Krishna consciousness that is so nectarian. So yes, if we just take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam every single day, our spiritual life will skyrocket, and we will be, there will be no impediments in our spiritual life. Thank you very much. Any questions, any comments? Yes, Lucas.
Thanks for the class, Prabhu. So you said how this material world, everything is a backdrop for sex life, right?
Yes.
And this is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world.
Yes.
But obviously sex life isn't in the spiritual world. So what is it a perverted reflection of in the spiritual world?
It is the perverted reflection of the pure love of Radha and Krishna. Obviously, if you read, the 10th canto and all those Rasika topics, if you're struggling as a brahmachari, you're not supposed to read those things, because you might get lusty desires and you might not understand those pure loving exchanges between Radha and Krishna. So yes, that is the perverted reflection of, Radha and Krishna. Their whole thing is based on pure love and just trying to give unlimited pleasure, transcendental pleasure to each other. But in this material world, we just want pleasure for ourselves. And then, yes, obviously, we want to enjoy sex life. Because, and especially illicit sex life, is very, very selfish if we actually examine it. You just want the pleasure without the sacrifice after. You don't want, if you do illicit sex, you don't want the kid after. So we can see it is very selfish. But Krishna himself says that kamasmi bhartashva. If sex life according to the principles according to religious principles, that means that you have children and you raise them to become Krishna conscious as well. That is Krishna himself, and then that is not a perverted reflection. That is a way to come back to Krishna as well. So it can be used also. So it is nothing wrong with it, it's just that we are, trying to do it in the wrong way. Krishna.
Just on that same point, Prabhupada mentioned the purport to the first verse of Bhagavatam 1.1.1 that the original sex life is innate part of the jiva, and we experience that through Haladini Shakti, that pure sex life. But when the jiva comes in contact with the material world, that pure love is transformed into, in contact with the mode of passion, it's transformed into material lust. So in that way, it's the perverted reflection.
Yes.
So originally, like the same potency that Krishna is enjoying is through Radharani, Haladini Shakti. So for the jiva also in the pure state, but in the material world, it's just through the material mode of passion. So it's transformed in that way.
Is it, if I could ask you, senior devotee, is it like that it is also perverted because in this world we are trying to be the Purusha, the enjoyer, but actually we are the Prakriti always. You know, in the spiritual world, only Krishna is the Purusha and he enjoys everyone. But in this material, we try to enjoy everyone, and in that way also it's perverted.
Yeah. I mean, basically, it's also, you could say that, like Krishna says, that this lust is the all-devouring enemy of man. So if it's so bad, why does Krishna allow the jiva to experience some sort of pleasure through material sex life? So the response would be Krishna is not envious. You know, he allows it, but there's a reaction, there's a karmic reaction. So, you know, so we can choose to try to enjoy in that perverted way, pretending to be the Supreme Lord, but because we're Prakriti, it's just an imitation. And therefore there's going to be a karmic reaction.
Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you very much for the class, Prabhu. It's really nice. Just a couple of points I wanted to mention. Just speaking to the point Prabhu made, it also Krishna says in the Gita that of regulated sex life that I am.
Yeah.
So when devotees marry and they engage in sex life for the procreation of children, then it's as good as being a brahmachari.
Yes.
Prabhupada had great respect for the grihastas in that regard. The other thing I wanted to mention, you were talking about, or Prabhupada was talking about the satiation, how devotees, his transcendental is never satiated by hearing the pastimes. And I remember reading last year, I think it was in second canto, where Krishna actually, he's never satisfied with his pleasure. So two phases are introduced. That's the increment and the measurement. So Krishna's enjoying, his pastimes are, ever increasing, totally satisfying. And then Krishna wants to measure it. Okay, can I do better? Can I enjoy more? And then there's an increment. And then he measures again. Oh, no, I can enjoy more than that. And then it goes on until it's,
Forever.
It can never be met. There's always that increment, the measurement, the increment, the measurement, which I found very fascinating. And then the last thing I wanted to say was Srila Prabhupada was staying at a life member's house in India, and it was before we had any ISKCON temples in India, and this particular life member and his wife kept on insisting to Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, please talk to us about the loving pastimes between Radha and Krishna. Please talk on the 10th canto, and was very insistent. And then finally Prabhupada said, because he was a guest in their house, finally Prabhupada said, I'm not qualified. And of course we know that Prabhupada is qualified, but it's a dimension that, we have to be very careful not to get the wrong idea what Krishna's pastimes are with Srimati Radharani and the gopis.
Yes. Thank you very much, Mataji. Yeah, I can never criticize the Grihastas because I'm the product of a successful Grihasta ashram. Yes, I owe many thanks to my father and mother for bringing me up in Krishna consciousness and giving me the opportunities to then later on serve His Holiness Kadamba Swami for 2 years, and then Maharaj put me on the, and yeah, they are. My father is, my father, he was working a job, obviously, to maintain the family, but he would get up every morning at like 1:30 in the morning, chant many rounds, read a lot of books, and he would also be a marathon runner on top of all that. So he implemented a strong regime also, but it was good for me and my brother and my sister, discipline. But it was not mindless discipline, it was all with reason and explained. And so then as we grew up, we grew more and more grateful to our parents. And we saw the actual vision that was there from the very beginning. So yeah, definitely Krishna is that empowered. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.